Hey guys, it's Sam with 2Ms and welcome to this MYXclusive interview. As you guys can see, I have a very special guest here with me. She is a San Francisco-based multi-instrumentalist and singer-songwriter, and she is here to talk about how she's been, her newest or latest single, which is called Change Your Mind, and everything in between. Everyone, please welcome Jenn Clemena.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for
Hi,
having me.
Jen. Of course, we are so excited to have you here. And just so everyone knows, Jen is actually calling us from San Francisco right now, where it's like 10 p.m., not too late. But thank you so much for joining us, even though it's a little bit late over there.
Yeah, no worries. It's not bad. My bedtime is
Mhm.
usually at 6, so no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I felt that. Me too. We have that in common. But how have you been, Jen? I mean, things have been a little bit like crazy. I mean, to say the least, like with everything happening around the world. But how are you?
Yeah, no, I've been doing good.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been really trying to be busy with music the past year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm sure this happened with a lot of people. They had the time to just zone in on their craft and learn a lot of
Mm-hmm.
new things. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what the past year has been for me, just trying to get better at what I do, just try to learn, new things and try to write more music. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been doing good aside from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, it's nice that you're doing good and really staying productive with creating music and all of that. But I'm really curious, like what was it like before? Like what was your life like before the pandemic hit and kind of like before you really poured like, started making all this music also again in like in during the pandemic. What was your life before that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I bounced back and forth a lot with a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
things. Music being one of, of course, because I grew up playing music, so
Mm-hmm.
I've always just been in this like circle of, whether or not music is something I want to do full time, but at the same time I can't because I got to work a job that's going to pay the bills and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I mean, it still is, like regardless, that's how it is in the art industry, but. I mean, it's just been all music this past year. So
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, at least now, like you mentioned, you have time to really zone in into the music and all of that. So, how has it been working on like the music? Like you said, you were trying new things too during this time. So, what was it like, kind of experimenting with and really trying to discover new things with music?
yeah, yeah. No, this year has definitely been a lot about, like you said, experimenting new things and just coming up with new ideas. So I've been working a lot on producing my own music. I've
Hmm.
always written songs and played the piano, played the guitar ever since I was younger. But this year, I really wanted to put in the hours and just learn how to sort of sit in my studio. I have a little home studio at my
Hmm.
house
Oh, cool.
and just learn how to record my own songs and just learn how to produce, mix and master and stuff like that. So that was also about what this year was about, just
Mhm.
getting better at the production side of everything. So
Oh, that's so cool. Like really growing as an artist. I can imagine like the amount of growth that you've had in the last year has been immense. But I do want to ask you, like as an artist, how different is Jen now compared to the Jen like pre-pandemic, like as an artist?
yeah, no, definitely. A lot of stuff has branched out for me personally as a musician.
Mhm.
I mean, I've gone through a lot of phases where, I mean, I learned a lot from a lot of different people that I've worked with. I mean, I still worked with a lot of people this past year, even though there was a pandemic and, all the social distancing. But I met a lot of new people. I worked with a lot of new people this past year. And the one thing that I always tell myself is that I love just collabing with people because that's one of the best ways that I learn too. So
Mhm. I love that, we're still really trying to stay connected and really keeping up like with this thing that we do, like for you, music and all of that. So that's nice that you're able to kind of find a balance with everything, despite everything that's been going on. But you've been mentioning that you've been doing music all your life, ever since you were young. So how did you actually get started with music? And like how and when did you know that music was something you wanted to do?
yeah, so I actually grew up. around music because my dad, he's a musician. He actually used to be in a band back then.
Mhm.
And then when I was around maybe 12 or 13, he had me play in the church with him. He was a
Mhm.
keyboard player. So
Mhm.
he pretty much told me, oh, our church band needs a guitar player, so you're gonna learn how to play guitar. And then
Yeah.
that's kind of when I started dabbling. I was watching him play, so he was teaching me a lot. And then as I got older, I
Mhm.
started to have my own style and try to find, what I like to play and kind of just find who I was as a musician.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I just did a lot of YouTube watching and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, I mean, it's always been a lot of fun,
Mhm.
just learning. So.
Oh, I love that. Like it started off with like with your dad and like in the church and all of that. So I can imagine like as a young kid that really inspired you too. But what was like kind of the push that really told you that, why not let's make our own music or make my own music and share it with other people?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think when I was in high school, I performed at like my first open mic ever,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
I just remember being like super nervous and probably like hated myself after that performance because it was like the worst I've ever heard myself ever sing. But no, but I loved it. I
Mhm.
loved being on stage and just singing in front of people and showing people like, what I've been doing and like all the hours that I put into learning how to play guitar. And I think
Mhm.
after that, that's when I kind of told myself, I just want to keep doing it, even though I didn't think I sounded good. I just want to keep getting better and better and better at what I do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Oh, wow. I love that, you just kind of are chasing after, growth and getting better, especially when it comes to music and have really grown as an artist since that time. But I also read that you also kind of got into busking too there in San Francisco. So what made you decide that that was something that you wanted to do? Because like I can imagine that takes a lot of courage too to actually like busk outside, you know what I mean? And like perform outside. So what was that like for you?
Yeah. I actually don't really remember exactly what it is that made me decide to actually go and do it. I think it was just something
Mhm.
that I've always wanted to try.
Mhm.
Um, and I did it, and I mean, it was a really discouraging thing, I will say, because
Mhm.
you don't really know what to expect when you go
Mhm.
out there. I mean, other than, the fact that you love singing in front of people and you love playing. So that
Mhm.
obviously that's what I enjoyed doing. But there are some certain situations that I ran into where I was just like, oh, maybe
Mhm.
this isn't a safe thing to do, or
Yeah.
especially being, in that certain part of San Francisco. There are
Mhm.
times where I ran into some sort of situations, but
Mhm.
no, but yeah, I mean, I would tell any musician that if they haven't bust, that they should try it at least once in your life because
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, you learn a lot from yourself as a
Mhm.
musician and just being out there because it's
Mhm.
different than being on stage, just
Yeah.
playing on the street. So, and I mean, it's good practice.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So,
can imagine like with all those situations because those are things like you can't control the environment and like when you go busking, like
yeah,
it's
yeah, you don't
literally
know who's gonna
open
pass
world.
by. Yeah, you don't know
Yeah.
who's gonna stop and watch. Sometimes people,
Yeah.
but when people do stop and watch and come up to you after the song and tell you that you're doing a good job,
Mhm.
then that's the other one of the other things that encourages me to keep doing what I'm doing. So.
Oh. I can imagine that's also such a great feeling, like when someone like stops and like watches you and tell you you're doing great. And I can imagine,
Yeah.
like you said, you learned a lot from that experience. So what would you say was your biggest learning from busking and like how it kind of impacted you now as an artist?
Yeah, yeah. I will say since busking, like you said, it really does take a lot of courage to just pack up all your stuff, go on BART
Mhm.
and go to the BART station, and then just play, just do what you love. You don't really know what to expect. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, you really are doing, something that you love, and whether or not you wanted to get up and do it that day, you just continue to do that every single day. So that's also another thing that made me realize that I just love playing music regardless
Mhm.
of the outcome. So
Oh, I love that. Like, it's just, despite what's happening, I mean, music is really at the core of a lot of the things that you do. But I also do want to talk about your songwriting too. So, how did you actually get started with songwriting, and what were like the certain themes that you were drawn to, specifically in the start? Because I can imagine, like, it has grown a lot since the first time you actually started writing music. So what was it like the first times or the first few songs the first few songs that you wrote?
Yeah, I like my earliest memory is of writing songs. I think like I was in high school. I just remember listening to like a lot of Ed Sheeran,
Oh
and
wow.
I was really in love with like the way that he wrote his lyrics and how
Mhm,
simple his chords were.
mhm,
So that's kind of when I started to just dabble and just write stuff on my own. I never recorded anything back then because I
mhm.
didn't want to hear myself in an audio recording. But that's kind of when I just, started. That was the start of just me writing stuff down and just
Mhm,
coming up with words. But it
mhm,
wasn't until I was about 19 or 20 when I actually started recording. And
mhm,
then it would just be my voice, the guitar, or my voice and the piano. And
mhm,
then throughout the years, I started to learn more about producing and mixing, and
mhm.
then I started implementing more like drums and bass and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, every time I make a new song, I just try to like put in a new idea or a new
Mhm.
kind of sound, I would say.
Oh
So,
wow. Yeah, that's really cool actually, and also really ambitious. I can imagine like every now and then, of course, you would love to switch it up, like the sound of your song. So how do you like keep that creativity going, and like how do you not run out of things to try out? Because like me, I as a normal person, I mean sometimes I do burn out like creatively, but how is that for you?
yeah, no, that definitely happens to me all the time.
Hmm.
And actually, like one of the songs I'm about to release is a song that I actually wrote 7 years ago.
Oh no way.
So yeah, and it actually sounds completely different than it did, obviously when I
Mhm,
wrote it. So I mean, I don't know, like you said, like I feel like I burn out on a lot of ideas too, but when I feel like I do, I would kind of just keep it, in the folder. If
mhm,
I think of something or if I randomly play something on a guitar and I feel like
mhm,
that would sound good on that track, then I'd kind of just put it together.
mhm. Ooh, okay, so I mean, I can imagine like what you said, it can get difficult, like creative burnout and all of that, but at least you keep that fire burning. I mean, that's really hard to do sometimes, but at least you're able to get through that. But also, I was really curious, like now that you've grown a lot as a songwriter, are there certain themes that you are drawn to writing about or expressing through your music?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. A lot of the
Mhm,
songs I write are love songs.
mhm,
So
yeah.
I do write about my relationship.
Mhm,
I'm actually releasing an album pretty soon, and
mhm,
some of those songs are love songs, but some other songs on there are a lot more personal. They actually talk about things that I've experienced growing up in a religious
mhm,
household and coming out to my
mhm,
family and stuff like that.
mhm.
So I'm actually really excited to release this album. Not a lot of people know that side of me. So
Wow, that's actually really exciting. So you mentioned that it's like a very personal, close thing to you, like the whole experience of, growing up in a religious family and coming out as part of the community. I feel like that must have been a huge deal, obviously, for you and also your family. So how does it feel for you to be able to express like all of those experiences that you had through your music? Because I can imagine like sometimes being vulnerable can be quite scary, and then sharing it with other people through your music can also be a little bit like a little bit scary too. So how is that
yeah.
for you, like that experience?
No, I'm actually really, really grateful that I do have like this opportunity to express what I'm feeling and to just
Mhm,
even write about stuff that I went through.
mhm.
Because if I didn't, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I
Yeah.
would probably just keep it all bottled up and
Mhm,
but no, like despite the things that I'm writing about, I'm really grateful that I do have this opportunity for people to hear it and it comes out in this way and not in,
yeah.
other ways.
Yeah, that's
So
actually true. I feel like that's such a great point that you made. Like, all of the feelings come out through music. What a beautiful thing. Like, rather than kind of other things. And I'm sure
yeah,
a lot of people experience the things
right.
too that you go
Yeah.
through. I mean, differently, of course, but kind of like the same. So I feel like that would also help them with whatever situation they're
Mhm.
going through too. So I'm sure a lot of people are excited for that too. But I do want to talk about your latest single, which is Change Your Mind. Let's talk more about this. So, what was this actually about, and what inspired this single?
Yeah. So when I made this instrumental. So I actually recorded that whole instrumental in one day.
Mm.
I was kind of just
Oh.
isolated. I think it was like literally right when the pandemic hit, and
Oh.
all the plans I had that day were just canceled. And I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna jam by myself in the studio. That's usually what
Mhm.
happens when I write a song. I'm kind of just jamming by myself, and then I'll come up with
Mhm.
chords. Um,
Mhm.
so that song kind of just came together pretty quickly. I recorded the guitar, and then the keyboard came right after, and then the bass, and then the drums, and then literally it was like 11 o'clock at night. I was just listening to it. I was like, wow, I
Mhm.
literally just like created a song.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then the lyrics are actually, so that song is about someone having feelings for somebody, but they don't feel the same way back. It was
Mhm.
actually about a friend. He was talking to me about him and his lady, and then I
Mhm.
ended up
Mhm.
writing a song about that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it kind of just has like this R&B vibe because I love
Mhm.
R&B music. So I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun with the instrumental, and then I had a friend of mine, Jake. We actually met at a show in San Francisco
Mhm.
last year, not last year, 2 years ago. So he performed at a show with his band, and I performed with my band. And then we kind of just linked up for the song, and he was featured on it. And he did a really good job. He has a really nice voice. So
Oh, I love that. So it was like something you created in a day, which is amazing. I mean, I'm not a musician, but like that's so cool that you're able to create that in one day, and then you work with your friend too. So what was it like building the song together? Obviously, this was someone that you met, right? Like at a show.
yeah.
So what was it like working together on this?
It was really easy actually. So I only met him that
Mhm.
one time at the show. I've
Oh
never
wow.
like seen him. Yeah, because as soon as he performed, I knew that because I loved his, whole set. I loved his voice. We kind of just
Mhm.
chatted after, exchanged Instagrams and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then when I made the song, I remembered hearing his voice, and I knew that I wanted him on the song. So I messaged him. I messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, like I have a song. If you want to write like a bridge to it." Like
Mhm.
I just gave him the freedom to write whatever and come up with whatever melody. And
Mhm.
so I sent him the track, and then he sent it back to me pretty quickly. And I didn't have to tell him anything. I already loved whatever it is that he wrote. I was like, I knew that he was gonna be perfect for the song. So yeah, it turned out really well.
Wow. I love that. The power of the internet too. Just kind of like messaging and like, let's make a
Yeah.
song together. And you guys made a song together, even though you just met that one time. Amazing. And now everyone can listen to Change Your Mind is available everywhere. But you also mentioned a while ago that you've been working on an album. It's coming out soon. So what was it? How has it been working on your album?
Yeah, no, it's been really crazy. So right when the pandemic hit, like I said before, I kind of just zoned in, um, with my music. And then I started, I just started just putting in a lot of the hours. And then before I
Mhm.
came to the realization that I just had all these ideas that were kind of just unraveling.
Yeah.
And then, before I knew it, I had 2 tracks that were done, and I had 3 tracks,
Mhm.
and 4 tracks, and five. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I didn't even like realize it until, weeks later. And then
Mhm.
right after I recorded that, Elvin, my label representative, actually called me. I haven't talked to him in a while before that, and he called me
Mhm.
and pretty much asked me, like, hey, what are you doing with your music nowadays? And then that's kind of what we start when we started working together with his label and Warner and stuff. So,
Mhm.
and I just remember thinking like he couldn't have called me at a better time because I literally
Yeah.
just wrote all these songs. Like they weren't 100% done, but they were in the
Mhm.
works.
Mhm.
So that's basically what we've been doing this past year, just working on all those tracks one by one,
Mhm.
and getting them finished. So
Wow. How serendipitous of how he like kind of just randomly messaged you, asked you how it's been, and it's like, oh yeah, I've been working on
yeah.
a bunch of stuff. So that's really cool that, the universe listens to everything that's going on. But I am curious, like with the album that you're creating, is there like a certain vibe that you're going for, or was everything just kind of like it like unraveled itself? Or when you first started creating music, it was just like, oh, this is what I want to do with the album.
Yeah. How do I say this? So when I was writing those songs one by
Mhm.
one, half of those songs were songs that I've written like years ago. So a lot of them were just songs that were unfinished. Other
Mm.
songs were songs that I was just writing like on the fly because I don't know, I was just really inspired at the time. And then I was also learning a lot in the studio, so all the production hours were just going into this album. But I would say overall that this album, you know, is kind of intimate, it's smooth. Yeah, I mean, it kind of just has a chill vibe. So
And isn't that what the world needs right now? Like more chill vibes. I feel like that's one of the things that we all need with everything that's going on. So that's super exciting. We have that to look forward to. But aside from the album, of course, are you working on anything else that we could also look forward to coming from Jenn?
yeah, I mean, I'm posting a lot of stuff on YouTube nowadays. I mean, aside
Mhm.
from the album, I do post a lot of videos on YouTube and on my Instagram. So
Mhm.
I try to be consistent with that, but everyone knows that that's hard to do.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
yeah, I mean, just you know, you'll see some new music from me soon, hopefully.
Yay, that's so exciting. I'm sure a lot of people are excited, but I totally agree with you. It's hard to keep up and like stay consistent at all of those things, especially all. I mean, good luck to all of us for staying consistent, but that's good that you're really working on your music and sharing it with a lot of people. And a lot of people are really excited too about the album that's coming up and everything that you have coming up too. But before I let you go, Jen, do you have a message to everyone who's been supporting your music and listening to you?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening. I do read all of your comments and you know, all your messages mean so much to me. Continue to support, you know, the artists, especially during this time, and continue to encourage each other to keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, just thank you guys so much.
Yeah. And where can everyone follow you, Jen, on your social media?
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram, Jenn Clemena Music. So go ahead and follow me. I'll follow you guys back. And then you
Yay.
can find my Twitter on there as well. And my YouTube, I post YouTube videos
Mhm.
every week. At least I try. um, yeah, I mean, yeah, and then you'll be up to date with all the music that's coming up. So
Yeah, so guys, make sure to follow Jen on her social media platforms so you guys can stay updated with all of her music. And also, don't forget to stream all of her music, especially her latest single, which is Change Your Mind. And you guys can find that on multiple digital streaming platforms. And I just want to thank you, Jen, for joining us here today on the show. It's been great talking to you. It's so exciting.
likewise, thank
Done.
you so much, Sam.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much as well to everyone who tuned into this MYXclusive interview. I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Sam with two M's and Jenn Clemena.